In the first half of the 1970s, Gary Gygax introduced his friends to his customized rule set for a miniature war game called Chainmail. The rules were derived from and expanded upon Jeff Perrin's own rules for wargaming, mostly consisting of rules for warfare. As time went on, Gary and his friends started innovating the system with things like experience points, character levels, and character classes. Soon, exploration and social interaction became just as important as combat. This was the birth of the tabletop role-playing game, and 50 years later, it has boomed into one of the most exciting genres to play today. And while innovating the rules and creating new ones is important, there are other ways to improve the game as well. In the beginning of 2020, during the start of quarantine, my friends and I began to play Dungeons & Dragons online through the use of Roll20. And we found that the more we used the text chat, the more immersed and excited we became about the game that we were playing. We also noticed that a lot of the issues that we were having at the table began disappearing, such as exposing character secrets too soon, hogging the spotlight, or interrupting dramatic character moments. Hi there everyone, my name is Ian from Incendium D&D, and today we're going to be talking about the case to be made for text-based gameplay in Dungeons & Dragons. Let's get into it. You may or may not have heard of play-by-post, a game style where players and DMs create a text-based forum where the DM provides prompts for the players to respond to. Players can take time crafting their responses, and communication doesn't happen in real time. It can take hours, days, or even weeks for a response to be posted. For this video, when we talk about text-based play, there are some notable differences from play-by-post. First, like a usual session, our players agree to a specific time to log in and play for a few hours. Second, even though our games are text-based, we're still all on microphones and can talk freely to each other. Only things that are written in the chat, however, are actually considered canon for the game. This eliminates the need for the DM to ask, "Do you say that in character?" or "Did you say that out loud?" In-game and out-of-game dialogue are clearly separated. Even so, I recommend using the push-to-talk feature like on Discord, as this reduces impulsive chatter and gives more structure to the out-of-game conversations. And lastly, you don't need a creative writing degree to make this work. One of the things that we agreed upon before starting was that each player takes as much time as they need in order to craft the response they're looking for, and they can write as much or as little as they like. After that, pretty much everything goes on as normal. The DM describes the adventure, the players get to react, and it's a really great time. Even so, we found it's not for everyone. People who struggle with typing quickly or have a strong dislike for creative writing don't usually find themselves enjoying this style of play. Our group has a relatively small sample size, but we've found that about 20% of the people there tend to fall in this camp. The other 80% actually found that they preferred this style of play and found themselves more immersed and excited to play their characters whenever we get together. Of course, with a sample size being just our playgroup, it's still kind of hard to draw overarching conclusions about these results. Still, I recommend you check it out and try it for yourself. You might like it, and it could lead to some profound changes in the way you experience this TTRPG that we all love. Dungeons & Dragons is a game primarily based on communication. Players can only react to what the Dungeon Master describes for them, and when done well, this immerses the players in the game world in a way that cannot be replicated in video games or other media. Of course, there are a lot of challenges that anyone who's played for a significant amount of time will probably notice at the physical table. People talk over each other. They laugh and chat about their characters on the side, and sometimes they miss key parts of what the DM is describing to them, which can cause them to make uninformed decisions that betrays the story they're looking to make for their character. A well-rounded group who's played together for years Critical Role, might be able to navigate these challenges with a few hiccups. But as a whole, if you're looking for more immersive, deep, storytelling-based gameplay, these problems are always going to be there. Trying to replicate the physical table online can present a whole host of issues. Microphones clip in and out, forcing people to repeat what they've said as they struggle with technology that's outside of their control. If something exciting is going on, the players are always going to jump to react first, making it impossible to figure out what's going on exactly or how to resolve all the actions that everybody wants to take. Lag and internet delays can hamper the drama, and while one person is still trying to respond to what they last heard, all the other players have already moved on. The worst is when there's an internet outage, which happened a lot during the first year of quarantine. Imagine a person getting up to use the bathroom. They might be gone for a few minutes, come back to the table, and find that they've missed a few key moments. Therefore, they need to get filled in before the rest of the game can move on. Except when it's a virtual table, that bathroom break, internet outage, might take hours to resolve, if even then. And by that point, the game might already be over or have been postponed to another time. And nobody's having fun then. By utilizing text-based gameplay, a lot of these issues become resolved. Because it isn't dependent on audio communication, individual microphone quality doesn't really play a factor. It might still suck that somebody's microphone doesn't really work that well, but at least it's not impacting the gameplay in a negative way. Only things that are in the chat are canon to the story. People can chat and catch up with each other as much as they like, and because everything is taking place inside the chat window, the game moves on at a regular pace. Lag and internet delay are also resolved here. With everything written down, players who have computers that can't process multiple streams of audio and video at a time can just read what happened and respond as needed. No more missing out just because you went to the bathroom or had to cook some food or get a new drink. Everything will be waiting for you right where you left it. And you can catch up at your own pace too. And even if you're more of a beer and pretzels D&D player and not really looking for that deep storytelling based gameplay, this still gives you the opportunity to hang out with your friends while you're delving through a dungeon. How many times has this happened to you? You're on the verge of a character moment, one that's been building up for sessions now. You're about to reveal the big secret, the big twist to the party, and let your character be vulnerable to other people. It's time for some real, deep character development. And you're just about to let it all out when... Ooh, DM, before he does that, I have something really important to say. Okay, Rogue, what is it? So while he's talking, my character, he narrows his eyes, and he goes up to the nearest wall, and he leans. Okay, but Sorcerer was about to have a really important character moment, so let's just get back to that. Well, yeah, I know, but this is important to my character too, right? What he's saying is having an impact on him, and when he leans against the wall, it like hints at what he's really thinking about the situation. You know what I mean? Subtextually. When somebody has the spotlight in Dungeons & Dragons, everybody wants the chance to get to react to it in character. But sometimes those reactions, instead of enhancing the moment, they take away from it, and the feeling is lost. We found that text-based gameplay also resolves this issue. Role-playing becomes fluid, and because everyone is free to describe how their character would react to the situation, it doesn't interrupt the flow of the character's development. You can interject that your character leans against the wall, and it only enhances the scene, rather than taking away from it. Something else we've noticed is that players who dislike acting can really get into this medium, where their character may seem withdrawn and sullen at a table that prioritizes acting out your character's mannerisms. Crafting something through text can make them feel a lot more confident about what they're saying. You don't have to worry about your improv skills letting you down, and you can take as much time as you need to figure out what exactly is the right thing for your character to do in this moment. Because you're crafting a response instead of clumsily reacting, the character's actions become more thoughtful and meaningful. With enough time, you can be as descriptive or succinct as you like. The last thing I want to talk about is how this impacts the storytelling at the table. If you're the kind of person that really enjoys reading science fiction novels or fantasy books, this medium might feel like a godsend to you. Text-based gameplay allows the player to live the action, write the drama, and dictate the pace of the story just like it would at the physical table. But what about after the game? What if you want to revisit those memories? Or maybe you feel like some of the choices could have been made differently, or you want to tweak or expand upon your character's dialogue. Maybe something post-game came up and you realize that it doesn't quite make sense given the context or the continuity of the story. This is where text-based gameplay really shines. You don't have to record your sessions in audio or video like I know some of you do. Everything is already written down for you, waiting for you to go over it. If you see something that doesn't make sense, you can request that it be removed from the canon of the story, or retcon to fit the context better. And best of all, when it's all said and done, you can create a short story that highlights the adventures you just had. For John and I, this is one of the most exciting parts of text-based gameplay. We're dungeon masters and game designers, but we're also in love with creative writing. We want to write compelling stories with all the twists and turns that heighten the drama and draw the narrative to a satisfying conclusion. It takes a lot of work, but when we compile the session into a short story, we enhance our players' immersion in their characters and the adventure they just had. Instead of just remembering the goofiest or the saddest moments from a whole night's worth of gameplay, our players can go back and relive the story that they helped create. And that's worth its weight in gold. And that's it. That's the episode on text-based gameplay. This game style has completely revolutionized how I both play and run my D&D adventures. I can get deeper into my character's headspace and think about what the right choice really is for them in the moment. When I'm writing my adventures, I think about them as more of a collection of scenes rather than a loose pile of interactions. What would my character say here, and how? And how can I help my players make meaningful decisions that they're going to remember? When I want to play a game that has a deep, compelling story, this is the best way I know how. Give it a try, and I'm sure you'll be pleasantly surprised. Have you tried playing any sort of text-based gameplay? Have you tried play-by-post? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, let YouTube know. Leave a like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. It really helps us out over here on Incendium D&D. Have an awesome day, everyone, and I'll catch you guys next time.